Good evening and welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. My name is Mackenzie Collins.
And I'm Mary Lee Oliver. Tonight we've got a lot to get to, from the Auburn win in Jordan-Hare to Auburn's fall baseball practice.
You're watching Sports Night in Auburn.
Auburn opened their conference home slate over the weekend as the Mississippi State Bulldogs came into Jordan-Hare. Eagle Eye was there to capture it all.
The 7th-ranked Auburn Tigers welcomed in SEC rival Mississippi State to Jordan-Hare on Saturday. Auburn boasted a 4-0 record going into the matchup, while Mississippi State sat at 2-2. This game would start a tough conference schedule for the Tigers, which includes Florida, LSU, Georgia, and Alabama. When your first offensive play is a touchdown, that is a good tone setter, and Gus Malzahn put his players in position to do just that, scoring on their first 3 possessions and jumping out to a 21-point lead. After touchdowns from Boobie Whitlow and Bo Nix got the Tigers going, Anthony Schwartz and Seth Williams decided to get in on the fun. Seth Williams had 8 catches for 161 yards and 2 touchdowns. Bo Nix would command a huddle that as a whole had 578 yards of total offense. Nix would account for 335 yards through the air and 56 on the ground. The Tigers go on to rout the Bulldogs by a final score of 56-23. The only thing that the Tigers could look at on tape to improve on would be handling the ball. Auburn fumbled 3 times, resulting in 3 turnovers that put them in bad spots and allowed Mississippi State to control the flow of the game, as seen by the time of possession. Defensively, Auburn was solid once again, holding their opponent to under 24 points in every game so far this season. The offensive explosion was Auburn's highest of the year so far. Gus Malzahn said of the offense, "Bo has the same receivers. They're finally healthy and we can get some timing. Hopefully that can continue, and I think it'll be a huge factor." The Tigers will travel to Gainesville this weekend for a matchup with the 9th-ranked Florida Gators. Auburn has not played at Florida since 2007, where it took a last-second field goal for them to walk out with a win. The matchup will be on CBS at 2:30 Central Time, and College Game Day will be there. For Eagle Eye TV, I'm Hayden Desmond.
One player that definitely stood out for all the right reasons was quarterback Bo Nix.
That's right. Nix set a career high with 335 passing yards against a tough SEC defense in Mississippi State. Nix was able to spread the ball out to all of his receivers en route to the 56-23 win for Auburn. The 2 touchdowns to Seth Williams in the game marked Nix's 6th and 7th of the season on the year, as Nix has 980 passing yards to go along with his 7 scores. Nix looks to add to his impressive start as the Tigers head into the swamp of Gainesville for a top 10 matchup this Saturday.
The man leading the way for the Auburn rushing attack has had yet another impressive weekend as Jadavarius Whitlow continues to head up the Auburn rushing attack. Whitlow led the way for an offense that rushed for over 600 yards as he found the end zone 3 times, twice in the first half, as he rushed for 55 yards on the day.
Seth Williams was on the receiving end of those Nix touchdowns. Williams hauled in 8 passes for 161 yards with 2 touchdowns, his longest catch of the night going for 39 yards. Williams' big day gives him 17 catches for the year for 289 yards and 4 touchdowns as Nix's top target for the season. Auburn has had at least one player come away with an SEC Player of the Week honor, and this week was the only difference from last week is that 2 of the Tigers were honored by the conference. That's right, Bo Nix and Mike Horton were given conference honors, with Nix being named Freshman of the Week and Horton being named Offensive Lineman of the Week.
Nix earned the honor after throwing for 335 yards on just 16 completions with 2 touchdowns. Horton was honored after he helped pave the way for a running game that gained 217 yards and 6 touchdowns, 5 coming in the first half alone.
The 2 awards mark the 7th time so far this season a player from Auburn has won. Jeremiah Denson, Bo Nix, Marlon Davidson, and Derek Brown had been named to an SEC Player of the Week spot in the past. The Associated Press released their top 25 ranking for the week 6 of this college football season, and for the first time this year, we have a new number 1.
That's right. The Alabama Crimson Tide have reclaimed the number 1 spot from Clemson as the Tigers dropped to number 2 in the polls.
Georgia maintained their 3rd spot while Ohio State cracked the top 4 with seven first-place votes, and LSU rounded out the top 5.
Oklahoma and their Heisman hopeful Jalen Hurts sit strong at 6, while Auburn, after the big conference win, stays at 7.
Wisconsin comes in at 8, Notre Dame at 9, and Florida rounds out the top 10 ahead of their top 10 matchup with Auburn.
Coming up, we'll take a look at everything else that happened from the weekend. You're watching Sports Night in Auburn.
As a mom and an Olympian, I know the importance of getting to the finish line quickly.
But quicker isn't always better when it comes to conversations about the dangers of underage drinking.
General Marshall is right. You don't need to get the entire point across in one dinner or one car ride.
Stick to those meaningful moments. A text or short conversation can go a long way.
And be sure to use resources like asklistenlearn.org.
They've got everything from conversation starters to facts about the dangers of underage drinking.
So start the conversation today about saying yes to a healthy lifestyle.
And no to underage drinking.
I believe this is a practical world and that I can count only on what I earn. Therefore, I believe in work, hard work.
I believe in education, which gives me the knowledge to work wisely and trains my mind and my hands to work skillfully.
I believe in honesty and truthfulness, without which I cannot win the respect and confidence of my fellow men.
I believe in a sound mind, in a sound body, in a spirit that is not afraid, and in a clean sport that develops these qualities.
I believe in obedience to the law because it protects the rights of all. I believe in human touch, which cultivates sympathy with my fellow men and mutual helpfulness and brings happiness for all.
I believe in my country because it is a land of freedom and because it is my home, and that I can best serve that country by doing justly, loving mercy, and walking humbly with my God.
And because Auburn men and women believe in these things, I believe in Auburn and love it.
A Dog's Way Home is the story of the extraordinary lengths a dog will go to in order to get back to their family. Every year, millions of dogs and cats end up in shelters and rescue groups. We found our Bella at a shelter in Tennessee. When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover they're all pure love. Adopt pure love and help a shelter pet find their way home at theshelterpetproject.org.
Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. Fresh off a College World Series appearance, Auburn baseball opened up for fall practice, and Eagle Eye's own Lockard Carden was there to bring you the story.
The 2020 Auburn baseball's team future looks bright as 2 starters turn down major league opportunities to play the season for the Tigers, bringing even more experience to the 2020 baseball team. Foregoing their opportunity at the major leagues, players have vowed that they will return to take another shot at the College World Series in Omaha. The team is already showing signs of great promise with a roster of experienced players, leadership from Butch Thompson, and Omaha in their sights. After last season, Auburn proved the team is capable to compete with the best competition. Thompson believes his team is going to be one of the top 5 rosters ever in Auburn baseball history. Regardless, the memory of the 2019 loss will be a constant inspiration for the team as they begin their fall practices. The Auburn Tigers started their fall ball practice Friday, September 27th. They'll play their first game against Auburn Montgomery at home and Columbus State away. Reporting from Plainsman Park, I'm Larkin Carden, Eagle Eye TV.
Auburn soccer continues to open up their conference schedule as they travel to Ole Miss on Sunday to take on the Rebels. It took an extra period, but Auburn fell to Ole Miss in overtime, suffering their first conference loss of the season, and it also marked Auburn's first overtime loss of the season. The overtime goal came in the 95th minute and was the first conceded by Auburn since the 4th minute of the SEC opener at Kentucky, a span that lasted 395 minutes of game time.
Auburn volleyball opened conference play over the weekend and did not go as the Tigers expected.
Auburn started their weekend play at 12th-ranked Florida, where they fell in 3 sets on Friday. Throughout the match, Florida was able to get out to big leads, such as 13-3 gap in the first set, followed by a 19-5 deficit for Auburn later in the set. The second set was the best for the Tigers as they would push Florida, but fall 25-18. The Tigers fell after the third set by a final of 25-12.
After the trek to Gainesville, the Tigers traveled to South Carolina to take on the Gamecocks in an attempt to get their conference record even at 1-1. Unfortunately, the Tigers would fall to 0-2 after 3 hard-fought sets. The losses dropped the Tigers' record to 6-7 while being 0-2 in conference play.
Coming up, we'll have a look at everything that's happening in Auburn athletics this weekend. You're watching Sports Night in Auburn.
Get it.
Get it.
Get it.
Get it.
Get it.
Is she gonna get it, Daddy?
She'll get it. Get it. Get it.
When you bring home a Goodwill find, you give your whole town a reason to celebrate because you're also funding local job training and placement programs in tech, healthcare, and more. Goodwill. Bring good home.
Home fire drills give your family a plan of action. In a home fire, you may have less than 2 minutes to get out. So when you drill, show everyone 2 ways out of the house, pick a safe meeting spot, and get there in under 2 minutes. Then practice home fire drills at least twice a year. You can even make them fun. So everyone knows the sound and exactly what to do when they hear a smoke alarm. Go to ready.gov/firedrill and learn how to prepare your family for home fires.
Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. Let's take a look at everything that's happening here on the Plains. Soccer takes on LSU on Thursday at the Auburn Soccer Complex, and the match can be seen on SEC Network.
Men's tennis takes on the ITA All-Americans in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with the tournament slated for Friday through Sunday. While women's tennis will be in Waco, Texas for the Baylor HEB Invite Friday through Sunday.
Track and field heads to South Bend, Indiana for the Joe Piane Invitational and will begin at noon.
Softball has a slate of games this weekend, as on Saturday take on Pensacola State in Auburn at 1:30 p.m. and then Snead State at 4. Sunday, the Tigers host Chipola College at 1:30, and then at 4 they host Wallace State Community College. Volleyball takes on Tennessee in the Auburn Arena at 1:30 on Sunday.
And the big one for the weekend. Auburn football travels to Gainesville, Florida to take on the Florida Gators in a top 10 matchup. The game can be seen at 2:30 on CBS.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Mackenzie Collins.
And I'm Mary Lee Oliver. You can follow us on Twitter at EETV_sports, Instagram at EagleEyeTV, and check out our website, eagleeyeauburn.com.
War Eagle and good night.